Hi guys, here we are. This is the Comic Book Syndicate. We just came out of Marvel Studios' Doctor Strange, folks.
Yeah.
We got some Doctor Strange fans here. Danny, let's start off with you. What did you think? Compared to the comic books, how did you like this movie?
Well, compared to the comic books, like the images moved
Okay.
and they spoke, which was enlightening. It was like, you know what I mean? No. I love the way they did they kept that kind of psychedelic, because I mean it was written in a time where people did drugs.
So you're a fan of Doctor Strange?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Victoria, you've never read Doctor Strange comics?
Correct.
Even though I sent you one a month ago.
Correct.
It's okay. Okay, so Steve, being a fan of the comics, how is this as an adaptation?
I think it's a little bit of like kind of a square peg round hole thing, because he's more of like a contemplative character, and this is like they try to put some action in there, and I get it, like you got to make it a 2-hour movie, but like overall I wasn't. They nailed the look. They nailed, I guess, like they got he was condescending, a little bit of a jerk, sarcasm, but still overall nice guy. But I was happy. Like I couldn't have asked for more.
Did it meet the expectations?
There are no expectations to be met. I know nothing about Doctor Strange other than this is what his comic book visage looks like. I'm not familiar with any of the comics. Nothing.
Steve Ditko claims he didn't do drugs. Do you believe him, George?
Oh, absolutely not. I would say no as well. I'd be like, oh no, I didn't do drugs. Because I have kids.
Okay, wait.
People with children will say, no, they didn't do drugs. But I mean, was he influenced by drugs to do those designs? I don't know, but it certainly was of the time, right? Like those were all the poster designs and stuff. So he was certainly influenced by artists who were definitely on drugs.
I enjoyed it. I thought it started good and it came to a good closing. I don't have many questions at the end. And I did like the philosophy aspect. I thought that was relatable.
So let's talk about that. Okay, so one of the things you were talking about was the Ancient One and her arc versus Dormammu and sort of his philosophy. How did that, what did you think of that?
I thought when the Ancient One confessed that she wasn't ready to die, and then, he came out with his power that he could turn back time, I was curious as to why, knowing that she said she wasn't ready to die, why he wouldn't, why he's laughing, why he wouldn't go back and get her, like turn back time to get her.
I believe that's called the Superman paradox. If you can go back in time, why not just go back in time and fix everything, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm. But I think if he, she taught him so much and he respected her, he seemed to respect her, and she confessed that to him, and she seemed to keep everyone at arm's length. So to tell him that, I thought he maybe would have gone back for her.
So you've definitely never read any Doctor Strange comics. I know that. She's my girlfriend. So what did you think?
I loved it. Yeah, I was very, very, very pleased. It was very good. But I do love my Sherlock.
But was it
So
okay?
I was just excited for him. And speaking of body, he had a very nice body scene in the movie too.
Now, compared to the comic, though, do you think they captured Steve Ditko's visuals properly? Or
I think they did a great job at trying to go for a modern version of that, but they were trying to make a really great 3D movie. It could have been toned down a little bit, I think.
Danny, you're a fan of Steve Ditko?
I like him a lot.
Okay, did you think this captured the comic book?
I did. I thought it was like this kind of character he's not one-dimensional. Several layers, right? So
Like a multiverse.
yes, it's not like you can just basically put him on the screen and be like, well, he gets in an accident and then he becomes a Sorcerer Supreme. Like, to do it in 2 hours, kind of tough.
But do you think they pulled it off?
I think they did. I thought they did a great job.
So one thing I liked about the Doctor Strange comic is it's actually one of the first times in like Western pop culture that they had Eastern mysticism. And so this movie, I'm actually glad they didn't shy away from that. There was a little bit of, there was not a little bit, there was a lot of philosophy in this. Did that come across, do you think, the Eastern philosophy? And like wrestling with those questions?
Absolutely. And I have some background in yoga as well. And, the beginning and the chakra pictures and everything, that came through right at the beginning. And that actually piqued my interest.
Okay.
So I was happy.
So in the end, is your perspective closer to Stephen Strange's skepticism or to the Ancient One's sort of, her philosophy? I was going to say his, but...
Oh, geez.
Are you in between?
Definitely in between. I think a lot of this movie, there's been like 2 wrongs don't make a right. And I think that's evident here.
It didn't seem very heavy-handed to me, but the philosophy seemed a little religious-y. Did that? No, I mean, it did, right? Because you're introducing... It'd be like saying when you do something like the TV show Lucifer, or you do something like Preacher, where you're bringing in Catholicism and now not making fun of it necessarily, but you're using it as a vehicle in a comic book movie. Like, did you feel like it was insulting to that sort of philosophy base?
Not really at all. I mean, if anything, it enhanced the ideas that were being presented, and it made them like more fantastic and more pleasing to watch.
And my dear, did you love the magic?
I did.
Is the mysticism something you're interested in?
I mean, from a philosophical standpoint, like not a ton, but from the look wise, I think the way that it contributed to the look of the movie, like it made it fun to watch. Like the whole movie was fun to look at. I mean, from my reference point of Doctor Strange, perfect. Like that's what I was looking for, is exactly what I expected. And like I said, it was a pleasure to watch. Like it was visually a joy. So
Okay. Is Benedict Cumberbatch the right guy to play Doctor Strange?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Even when I just saw the photos, he looks like not just the Ditko drawings, but he looks like dead on. They picked the right guy. He looks like almost old Kirby drawings.
Yep.
More maybe a George Perez drawing, but still, like I think they nailed it. I think, and it wasn't just hair and makeup. Like I think his bone structures and whatnot. You got Benjamin Cumberbatch that you either like or don't like. He has a great body of work. What do you think he did? Like, did he sell you on this character, or?
Oh, for sure. This was a winner for me.
He was great. I love, and not to go spoiler or anything like that, but as the movie progressed right to the very end, if you stay for the very end, I love what they did with him. I think he was, and I don't remember him from the comics at all.
Well, he's actually in the first issue. Danny, you remember that? Right?
He's actually turns into be like a pretty badass villain, but
They introduced him right away in the comics as being a rival of Stephen Strange, and then he ends up becoming a bad guy.
The big like black kind of
he has a cape.
collar cape.
Yes,
green.
he does. Yes, he does.
Yeah, that guy. He's got
But-
a
but-
Man
They
too.
later turn it black. I mean, they turn this whole guy black, but
But anyway,
the costume was black
I
originally.
like how in this movie his character arc is much more complex. It's not just he's a sneaky guy, he gets jealous, he turns on them. In this, he has a clear arc, and I like how when that guy's tempting Doctor Strange, you're actually kind of like, he's kind of right. Like, Dormammu was not that bad a guy, right? He just wants to conquer death, right?
Like, he's okay. Dormammu's all right. He's just misjudged, you know?
Have a Chiro or
Benedict Cumberbatch, persona perfect. Facial structure a little bit weird. Like he isn't like Benedict Cumberbatch is an odd-looking guy, but he fits this role perfectly.
Wong's eating.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Just to get, you know what I mean? Just to fill in the blanks a little bit. But
I still think he fits the role.
amazing. And whoever was playing the cape was awesome.
I loved when it was in the tank. Like it looked like a fish. Like when it was like, hey, it kind of like screamed Aladdin carpet, but
it's perhaps Doctor Strange's Groot character, if you will. Get a stuffed animal shroud.
Yeah, it is part of the Disney universe now, so maybe they'll fly around together.
there you go.
So what did you think of the female? I guess, was she the lead? She was like a side character at best, but
Yeah.
she was really,
Rachel McAdams?
yeah, like,
Loved her.
yeah, because you had her and of course the Asian one, but I really liked her a lot.
Yeah, I love her. And she's Canadian, so.
Yeah.
You got it.
Ooh.
Not enough ladies in this movie. No.
Well, Marvel's not famous for portraying women all that much anyways. But yeah, she was very funny. I thought she did a great job.
What did you guys think of Wong?
I think Wong is suffering from what I think this whole maybe.
Yes.
Well, maybe
Okay.
he's not suffering from that. Maybe that's
Maybe,
how
okay.
maybe he loves it.
All right.
No, I just think this would have been a better Netflix show. It would have had more time with these characters. These characters were thrown at us fast and furious, and just like, I got magic boots. What's up? Boo! Like, that's it. Like, you know what I mean? There was barely time to do Doctor Strange. Never mind, the female lead. Like, she was great in what little time she was given. Like, I would have loved to have seen, instead of the what was it again? Luke Cage disaster. Like, it would have been much nicer if they focused on this. Maybe it would have suffered from not having Benjamin Cumberbatch. But
Danny, what'd you think of Wong?
Wong was all right. I mean, he was not really significant. I mean, in the comic, he's his right
It's
hand.
kind of his manservant, but here he had more character,
He's
I thought.
his healer. He does all those things for him, right? So they, again, just like George, I agree with George 100%. Everything was kind of rushed a little bit, so you couldn't really see any character development.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, I do think Wong, they expanded all the characters. I think Wong in the comics, he's sort of like just this dry manservant. Here, he's got a little. Even though he is the straight man, he is funny in this, right? He has more to do. I think he's a stronger character.
What about the ancient one?
The Asian person in me, the Thai person in me, screams for more Asian representation. But the vagina in me is like, yes, Tilda Swinton. Yep.
Yeah, because it was nice. They took a male Asian character and then made it a female, super white lady.
Oh, yeah, like the whitest you can get.
Right?
Yeah.
Celtic.
Yeah.
The ancient one was more complex than this, even though they changed him from a Tibetan man to a Celtic woman. Other than that, I mean, I really like.
Close though. I mean, they weren't off by a lot. It's very, very, very close.
In the representation, did you buy the fact that she was an ancient one and super mystical and cool?
Yes, because she looked like Aang.
She did look like Aang.
And at the beginning, too, they put her in, like, the yellow hood. So when she put it down, it was, like, totally like a monk's outfit.
That's true.
Were you enthralled the whole way through?
I was, and I felt like they did set up certain pieces that I felt like I could follow along. Like I did notice they put a lot of emphasis on his watch, and when he's in the alley, and robbers try to take his watch, and then it breaks. So I kind of knew at that time that they were probably setting up for some sort of time theme.
Yeah.
So that that followed through, and that was easy to follow for me because I looked for cues like that, and I felt that those cues were there.
And did you think the story was good on its own? Forget about the fact that it's a blockbuster and a comic book movie. Did you think the story was smart?
I did.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did, because I think it did, like, philosophy in itself is complex, and I think it brought it down to a level that, for me, never reading the comics, but having a little bit of knowledge on philosophy, I didn't feel cheated.
Huh. How about that? People have been sort of saying this won't be a hit. Marvel's, winning streak is going to end here. Do you think this one's a winner?
No,
Really?
I don't think this is going to do well.
Is this another winner from Marvel? What do you think?
I don't know that it's a winner in like it's not the cookie cutter Marvel. It's not clear cut black and white good guys bad guys. And again, I think that goes back to it's like contemplative character. They tried to like shoehorn in some action and kung fu, and it was good. Like it was fun to watch. I don't know that you're gonna get lineups to see it though. That's the problem.
Interesting.
I love bringing my son to the comic book movies because he loves comic books. I can't see my son leaving this theater on Sunday saying like, Dad, I want to be Doctor Strange for Halloween. I don't think it's going to happen.
He's also always been older. He's always had the great temples. He's always had the mustache. He's been depicted as being a little bit older than the average superhero, right?
It's going to be a hard sell. Like, that's a hard action figure sale. You know what I mean? Like, are you going to sell expansion packs with floating capes and all this other stuff? Like, you know what I mean? Doctor Strange never sold well as a toy to the comic fans.
No, you're right.
Now, if you're going to start printing lunchboxes and maybe an activity set for a rainy day, maybe you can make your own spells and you raise your cat from the dead or, stop time. Like, it's just not going to sell well.
I think this movie's a winner. I was actually enthralled through the whole thing. Surprisingly, like, Marvel movies are usually kind of average for me. This one, I followed it every step of the way. There wasn't really a bad moment in the whole movie. The only time I kind of rolled my eyes is when they went back to the hospital for the third time. Yeah. I was like, is that all they're going to do is keep injuring people and bringing them back to that girl to operate on? But,
why not? You just got the little circle thing. Just right there.
Everyone else is like, this is not a winner. I don't see lineups. This is the Marvel movie that I've been waiting for. Like the sword and sorcery type, the more mature intellectually. Like, it was just so... The whole time I was like, this is perfect. This is everything I want. I want magic. I just want magic. That's all.
Do you guys recommend this film?
If you are watching the Marvel films, you have to watch them all. I don't think that this was their strongest by any means, so I wouldn't go in there too excited.
All right. Okay. Danny?
Well, considering that Doctor Strange will probably have a huge role in the upcoming movies, I mean, I really think people that haven't read the comics aren't going to like it as much. But
Victoria, do you recommend this film? Do you think it's a winner? Or not?
You know what? I recommend it because I enjoyed it. And coming out of it, I feel like I can make I can talk about it. And that always to me means it was successful.
Excellent. All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
You're welcome, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay.